What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Tampa Podcast. It's Friday the 10th, and we're super excited to be here. Got a good round table going today. We've got Mia, Holly, Paolo, and Michael. I'm going to do a quick round table. We were talking about this earlier, just so they can introduce themselves and kind of talk about where they're from and what their background is. So let's start with you, Mia.
Hi everyone, my name is Mia. I'm a new LPT agent. I've lived in Tampa pretty much my whole life, and I worked in hospitality for about 6 years, but decided to make the transition into real estate, and I'm super excited to learn everything from you guys.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We're glad to have you here, Holly. I mean, Mia. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You'll get it all figured out. Hi, everyone. I'm Holly. I've been in the business for 25 years. I've been a realtor for 23 of those 25 years. Washington makes my fourth state. So Pennsylvania, Delaware, Florida, and Washington State. I've moved to and lived in all of the states that I work in. So Washington's my new baby, and I am making that one my home for life.
Making waves in Washington, you guys.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Paolo Matita with Sunrise Insurance. Former realtor. Still have my real estate license as a referral agent with LPT, but switched over to the insurance game in 2017. And just happy to be here and share whatever knowledge I can for you, Mia, as a new agent, or refresh
I'm sure we'll all have
some of you guys.
We'll all have some insurance questions, man.
For sure.
Are you ready for this today?
We might put you on the spot.
Seatbelts fastened.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. My name is Michael Manos. I've been a licensed agent for about 8 years now. I've been at LPT for about 15 months. Definitely the best move that I've ever made. Some amazing people here at this organization. And as far as my focus, I kind of dabble in a little bit of everything on the retail side and the investment side, and also artificial intelligence. And so super excited to be here today to chat with everybody and answer some general questions about being a real estate agent in today's market and taking advantage of what we have to offer at LPT Realty.
Absolutely. We are navigating what I would say is a more difficult or tedious market, to put it nicely, right?
Mm-hmm. And I love that you're wearing a PNW hat.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah, super
feeling
chic.
The vibe here
I'm feeling chic
as we're in our cold clothes.
I'm on trend. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, it's been 30 degrees in the mornings here in Florida, and we're not having it. All right, you guys can take your weather back up north.
But I have my Washington wardrobe, so I was prepped for this last month, though I did not bring the cold.
It gives us an excuse to break out our very limited winter wardrobes, right?
Yes. I'm wearing boots right now.
So that's fun.
The only thing that I brought with me to Florida was boots when I moved the last time.
That's funny. So Mia, as a new agent coming to LPT, I mean, first off, what kind of attracted you to join LPT as a new agent?
So my mom's best friend has been in real estate for over 30 years, and she kind of introduced me to the real estate world a little bit, but I wasn't exactly sure if I wanted to get into it. But the moment I decided I wanted to, she took me under her wing, and she was with LPT and told me about all of the amazing benefits with them, and just how you guys really work together as a community, and how they really uplift the agents and really give them all of the tools and resources to really strive in this industry. Yeah. And that caught my eye. So I was like, I will definitely sign with that.
So definitely, like, support was a big factor that brought you over here. Culture. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's awesome. And you said you've been doing real estate 20 plus years. Yeah. Licensed in 4 states.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
That's pretty impressive.
That's very impressive.
I've gotten around.
It's like rookie numbers.
I actually started it. I was supposed to be a marine biologist, and one thing led to another, and I ended up as an admin for Prudential Fox and Roach back in the day.
No way.
The vice president took me under her wing, taught me everything that I know, made me the best agent I could be, and every time I moved, I just got another license. And, you know, how many times I sit there like, okay, yeah, real estate is totally in my blood.
Yeah.
It is my blood. It is me. Real estate is me.
That's funny. I wanted to be a marine biologist at one point, and now look at me. I'm in real estate too.
I moved to Washington because of the killer whales, right? But still selling houses.
I want to say something too.
Now you're killing the real estate market.
Yes, absolutely.
I think you said something important was that you found a mentor, like when you first got into the industry. Can you speak on the importance of that?
I had no clue everybody knows you buy a house, you sell a house, right? But I had no clue what real estate entailed when I first started. And I went on the Fritzy main line. I was a young kid. I was 19 years old, and I'm in this office where people are selling $3 million every day of the week, you know?
Yeah.
That's not where young kids start.
Right.
But you see the paychecks and you're like, well, I can make a living out of this. And the first thing she said to me is, you are not going to make it in this office with the mentality of those paychecks. Because she's like, you have the mentality to be a people person. You are a people person. Your job is being a people person. And that is really the best advice I think I could have gotten, because everybody thinks we, you know, as realtors, we probably rank up there with lawyers. Sorry to all the lawyers out there, but, you know, people don't necessarily trust us, or they think that we're in there for the paycheck. And the only thing that most of America sees is the crap that they put on the news or on social media. So, you know, this whole like buyer broker agency thing that is out and about right now, you know, people see the negative on the news, but, you know, me personally, I see it as a positive. But, you know, if you go into this business trying to make money, yeah, there's people that go into this business trying to make money and they excel at it. They succeed at it. And personally, I think they're the ones that give the rest of us a bad name, because a lot of us are in this to make money, of course, to make a living. But, you know, we want to help people. I think that's the majority of agents out there. Really just, they've either been screwed by agents in the past and they said, I'm going to go in and make a change, or they went in with that mentality where they actually want to help people. And I think that's huge. And I think the right mentor will guide you that direction. I know with Robert Palmer being who he is and learning from him, I think that's huge for LPT. And I think I probably speak for what I've learned from the table. That's a good part of the reason that all of us did join LPT. I know I was with some of the big sharks that didn't have this vibe before, and you lose that. You lose the people part of it, and that's what real estate is. I mean, you can have people coming in, you know, AI, you can have everything being in the cloud, and LPT is a quote unquote cloud brokerage, but I've never had more human interaction since I was 19. Yeah. Honest to God, like, we don't necessarily have the big offices that some of the big giants have, but we have more human interaction with each other, where we get to meet people than a lot of the other big places out there. And I think that's huge. And I think the proper guidance is really what tools that all new agents and even the seasoned agents need.
Definitely.
Well, and I know Mia, I see in the office all the time. I've been seeing her a lot this week when I've been in the office. And I think that culture and, like you said, mentorship is so important, right? That was a huge reason you came over here.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I knew nothing, and coming into the office, you guys took me under your wing and basically showed me the ropes, and I'm like getting my feet wet, which is amazing. But I really appreciate the help.
I think at some brokerages, like you said, whether it's a shark brokerage or a top producing brokerage or whatever, would you guys all agree sometimes there can be a lot of competitiveness with just directly within that brokerage?
Oh my gosh, so cutthroat.
Not even with the agents and other agents at other brokerages, but the agents almost pitted against each other. Yeah. And we don't have that culture, I feel, at all at LPT.
No. What's Joe's favorite slogan? He says it's not a competition, it's collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely. Collaboration over competition, 100%. Yeah. And that is such a big part of our culture here at LPT.
I haven't found an LPT agent that I don't like yet. Y'all know me. Like, if I thought that, I would have, announced it. I've called other LPT agents and become the greatest of friends with them on the phone. With one conversation, next thing you know, we're inviting each other to meetings, we're hanging out, we're going to lender meetings together, we're inviting each other to classes. And we're neck and neck in, a highest bid situation. I'm sure the best of us is going to come out, right? But at the end of the day, there's always a fresh start tomorrow. And I think that's huge when it comes to LPT, because we do have that culture. And, this company was built, from the ground up. And all of us coming in just seem to have that same mentality where the sky's the limit, and if it benefits you, it's going to benefit me. So, you know what? Let's just pull together. If we can make this work as a team, why not do it? As opposed to, whatever. She's, Mia. She just started. Why am I going to help her out? Come on, let's learn together. Is kind of where I feel it's definitely a we company as opposed to a let's see how high I can go. There's definitely a we aspect of LPT.
And Michael, you've been in real estate a little over 8 years, right? And really super heavy in the AI. I know you've been working on a lot of your own programs and development. You've got a lot of stuff in the work, but also you're into real estate development as well. Yeah. Not just software development. Yeah. So you want to talk a little bit more about, what's going on with that and maybe share and enlighten, all of us a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. First I wanted to kind of piggyback off of what they were saying about the mentorship thing. Yeah. I think it's important when you're a new agent that you align with people in the industry for learning experiences. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that happens a lot these days. A lot of agents get into the industry and they just want to attach themselves to a team or a brokerage that just provides them leads. And I think the most important thing you can do as a new agent is attach yourself with individuals or teams or team leaders that will actually be your mentor and to coach you, because that's where I learned most of my, where I got most of my experience, the development stuff. Yeah. Before I came to LPT Realty, I worked with a broker who just specialized in land development. So for 2 years straight, that's all we did. We did site selection for build-to-rent developers. We worked with some of the national builders to do single-family house developments. And so I just want to say, it's awesome that you have the mindset that you are here to learn, right? Because when you learn, you earn. So that's awesome. And definitely just keep that mindset that you should just be a student of the game. And I'm still a student of the game. And to your point, I'm still learning from people at LPT. Mm-hmm. It's why I came here. Definitely to learn from Robert, but everybody is so open to sharing and open to, providing knowledge. And so it's an amazing place to be. But, as far as the real estate development, something that I got super into during COVID, when houses were just, the demand was very high and supply was low. So you had national builders that were looking for parcels all over Florida, and not just in major metros, but also in some of these rural areas where typically they wouldn't go. And so I'm from a place called Citrus County, Florida. Yep. And I tell people the most exciting thing that happened there before COVID was grand opening of a super Walmart. And so
that's a big deal.
It's a big deal, man. Skip school and everything to go to this thing. And so now, if you looked at a before and after comparison, the development that has happened there because of the migration from other states. Yeah. That might be kind of fed up with politics or the weather, whatever it might be, has certainly accelerated things here in Florida. Yeah. And so, land development is something that is I'm very passionate about, because it involves that creativity aspect of kind of taking a blank canvas and making something beautiful of it. And I know that you're working on some projects as well, and I'm looking forward to touring some of your projects. And I think you should invite a lot of people out there to see what you do, because it's truly awesome.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're definitely going to be hosting some kind of touring events and things like that, and kind of investor powwows, and trying to get some more things scaled and growing this year. Absolutely.
Our next podcast location on site.
Oh, I don't know if we can haul all the equipment over there. Alex might kill us. So, I think that's going to be a no.
Judges? Yeah.
But we'll set up some tours, man. I know we were talking about that previously, and honestly, I haven't even, we've been at standstill with permitting, as you know, that sometimes can be a pain in the butt. So we've just kind of got our guys on standstill right now, so there's not much to show. I wish there was. But all in time. And as far as insurance, we had those 2 big storms.
Yes, we did. We don't want to talk about that. No, I'm joking.
We're out of storm season now.
Yes. We're good.
But as far as, what do you see happening this year and changes? What's being whispered in the insurance world, Paolo?
Sure. So, more positive than you would think. So, yes, there were 2 storms that kind of came through the west coast of Florida, but like the homeowners industry or market, I should say, is still trending positively in Florida.
Cool.
At least better than it has been the last 5 years, right? Where 3-4 years ago, we saw carriers year over year doing 40, 50, 60% increases year over year, where this year there was a handful of carriers that either filed for a decrease. It may have only been 3 or 5%, but a decrease in rate versus an increase in rate, which is a small but positive movement. Some of them filed for 0%, so broke even.
No change is better than going up, man.
And then there's new carriers that have come to the market. Underwriting guidelines have softened a little bit. There was a period of time where if you had a roof that was 10
we've talked about this a couple times with the older roofs.
The carriers have listened in the sense that now they've got better options or just options where before there was nothing.
Sure.
Now what they're doing is if you have that 15 or 17-year-old roof, you can get it covered, but it's now covered on a depreciated value, right? So if brand new that roof cost $50K to replace, but it's a 17-year-old roof, they will cover it, but not for $50K. They'll say, okay, hey, it's 18 years old.
Right.
There's wear and tear on it. It's no longer
it's a maintenance item.
It's no longer a $50,000 roof, but we'll give you 25 or 30%, of its total value. So God forbid there is a storm and it causes damage, they're not going to pay the entire cost, but and every carrier, and if you were to buy a policy with this, it's called a roof schedule.
Yeah.
They break it down, and so before you buy the policy or once you buy the policy, it'll show you like, okay, when your roof age is this is the percentage and the payout. So they've just got a lot more options on the table. Makes it easier for agents to get their clients under contract and close a loan and just do what they got to do versus sellers having to replace roofs and do all these crazy things before the sale. So it's trending in the right direction.
I'm curious, do you have any statistics or any knowledge as far as how many homeowners will go self-insured due to all of this going on in the market? Because I have underwritten investment opportunities where it actually doesn't pencil out when I add in today's insurance rates. So are you seeing any in the marketplace, are you seeing people go uninsured because they cannot afford the rates today, or what is?
It's a very small margin. Because most people have some sort of a mortgage on it, and per their mortgage agreement, they have to have it.
Sure.
So it's usually those investors or the people that have the means to maybe skip out
free and clear
on it. Yeah. So, and I never encourage not insuring at all. Like for an investor, if it's a rental property, at the very least, buy liability insurance.
Sure.
God forbid a tenant slips and falls, or they have a guest over that slips and falls. You're still the owner, even if it's your LLC. You're still the owner. You don't want your LLC to get sued or yourself to get sued. So, at bare minimum, getting $1 million liability policy on a duplex, it'll be less than $1,000 a year. Now, there's no coverage for the physical structure, but if you're an investor or a developer and you're like, well, I can rebuild this house with my means and it won't hurt me, by all means, God bless you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another option too is if you own a property free and clear and it's very well built and things, some people opt out to exclude wind or hurricane coverage, right?
Because the wind I've found is the expensive part of
more than 50% a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So you can get a policy that just protects against lightning or fire or water leaks within the home. So that I see a lot more so for people that are landlords, if you will,
Sure.
versus a primary home because
Sure.
they have the mortgage. So
Sure.
there's options. Again, what I like to do is present those options, and then the person makes their own decision. Are there people that pound their chest and say, "I'm going to self-insure"? Absolutely.
Sure.
And
that's how to follow
more
up
power
too.
to you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think if you're going to have a few $100,000 asset, why not spend $1,000 at least to give yourself something? You know what I mean? Because your tenant could be trying to cook something and burn your house down.
Yeah,
that's risky for sure.
And if you don't at least have a fire policy, it's not like you can sue your tenant. At least I don't know. I mean, I'm not an attorney, but I don't know how that would work, and that seems like a headache. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work either. I'm also not an attorney, but I think whether you're in development, you're a newer agent, you're an experienced agent. That information, all the information you just gave us, is so invaluable.
There's always an option. Yeah, you don't have to always go for gusto. Granted, if you have a mortgage, it's required.
Yeah.
But if it's something that's owned outright, there's minimum stuff that you can do that at least gives you something. So
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned kind of before we got started, like you may have had some insurance questions. I don't know if we want to go down that rabbit hole
what
now, but
what are your new agent questions? Let's dig in. Let's dig in.
this podcast is for you today.
Oh my God, this is so exciting. Okay, so I guess the question I have is, how do agents, lenders, and insurance providers work together to ensure a smooth process for clients?
Oh,
I
The
love that
short
one.
answer to that is alcohol. But the long
Sounds
thank
good.
goodness this is a podcast and not a public broadcast.
I'll start. So before I became an insurance agent, I was a real estate agent, and I was specifically a buyer's agent. So I learned a lot. So the easiest way is once you get your buyers under contract, reach out to an insurance agent and get a preliminary quote underway. Sometimes even before you get under contract, if you've got a client that's got 2 or 3 properties that they're just like really narrowing down, get a quote fast and early. Call me. Because then I can at least give you a ballpark, right? Now, depending on the age of the house, inspection reports and stuff are needed. But, if it's all about numbers, especially with mortgage brokers. If the client's like, well, how much is my mortgage payment going to be? The lender can't give you that unless you have an insurance number.
Yep.
So getting those things, being proactive on that is going to help your buyer have a more pleasant experience, right? Because what you don't want to happen is, let's write the offer, we get under contract, the lender starts crunching the numbers, then you find out that the insurance is going to be $12,000 because they need homeowners and flood, and then now they can't afford it.
Now the deal's dead.
Now they're on this emotional roller coaster, and you have to play therapist, and nobody wants that.
And as a realtor, as an agent, you need to remember that the last piece of the puzzle for any buyer out there is going to be to call that insurance company. It's just, if you had a list of things that they're going to do, that one's going to be like 4 days before closing if you're not on top of them to actually do it. So that's one of the biggest things for you, is to have your list of things and make sure that's on, not the very last thing on your list.
Top of the list.
The other risk that you might run into is that they might get a lender's policy put in place, which could be whatever, like the lender will put whatever policy at whatever quote they deem fit, right? So like I had a property where somehow they didn't get my policy updated with Citizens, and they put a lender's policy in place, and the lender's policy was like $2,500. Well, my actual insurance policy that was in place the whole entire year of 2024 was actually $1,000.
Oh, wow.
So I was paying for 2 insurance policies
Yeah.
because of a mistake of the mortgage company. So my recommendation is always to call a third-party insurance broker like Paolo and have them run the quotes and the rates, and provide that policy after it's underwritten and bound to the lender. Do not have the lender run the insurance policies through their providers, because it's always going to be at cost of the client, right? The buyer's going to be the one who pays for that at the end of the day. And we want to save them as much money as possible.
For sure.
At least, I think that's our job.
At least present them with the options. That's my biggest thing is giving them options. Say and tell them, be like, hey, you're whoever they're using for the mortgage, like your lender's probably going to present you with some quotes. Here's 2 or 3 trusted local insurance agents that I use, and let them decide, because then that kind of takes the pressure off of you. If stuff hits the fan, you can be like, well, look, all I did was give you some options. You made your selection, type of a deal.
That's another really good point. Always give at least 3 options so that the buyer's making their own decision on who they choose.
And that goes for not just insurance, home inspectors, if there's a contractor, you know, we're in a cover yourself business as much as a help the client business. So you give options and then let them decide. Let them do the work. Let them get the quotes. Let them communicate. You pass along the knowledge you have, but you let them get their hands dirty.
They get to pick their poison in a sense.
Well, and as you go through it, you'll find your 2 or 3 of each type, right? And my other recommendation is, like, if once you get a quote and they like this quote, or they have found the mortgage broker, get them all connected, right? So for example, you get 123 Main Street under contract, I run a quote, your client's like, I like Paulo's quote, or I even talk to them and they're like, I like it, let's move forward. Another thing you can do to help with the smooth transition is connect everybody. Hey,
100%.
Paulo, here's the mortgage broker, here's the client. Get everyone on like an email chain. Because then there's not the, like she said, we're a week from closing and we never heard from Paulo. And I'm like, well, I'm still waiting on the contact information for the lender. You know, so being proactive on that and getting all the parties in the transaction together helps with communication and just that fluidity.
You look like you want to jump in.
The fluidity. Michael feels passionate about this statement.
I was going to say, like what you had mentioned there at the end, which is getting everybody on the same page. I think taking that sort of like team approach. You know, you have your listing agent and you have your buyer's agent. I can't tell you how many times when I'm the listing agent that I actually reach out to the lender, like we all get on a phone call together, and the lenders are so impressed. And a lot of agents don't do this. They will not get on the phone with the buyers. And I say, like, how could I sleep at night putting my seller in this position, not knowing what's going on with this buyer? So I would say he's 100% right. The best thing you can do is get on a 3-way with everybody and take that teamwork, like consultative approach, and transactions go much smoother when you do that, right?
And your buyer's not like clueless. You know, the one thing that I learned when I was a real estate agent was a lot of people were like, oh, we were under contract before they started working with me, and they're like, we didn't know what was going on in any given moment. So just communication obviously is a huge thing. And what she was saying earlier, relationship, you know, just you're best friends for that 30 to 60 days until they get closed, and then you want to stay friends afterwards. So doing what you can to just make sure they're plugged in, type of a thing, you know.
Yeah, we're definitely in a follow-up business, but you know, this is your baby. Like, this is where you go, what you do. One of the best transactions I had, and I actually took a page out of his book after that, was this listing agent that as soon as we went under contract, he emailed the buyer's agent, he emailed the title company, he emailed the lender. He had asked me if there was a transaction coordinator involved. He had his transaction coordinator involved. He emailed everybody. This is the date of closing. This is when inspections are due. This is when the appraisal's due back. This is everybody's phone number that you need to know at this very given moment. Everybody is included in this email. Please reply to all unless it's something personal. And I mean, just the dates were right there. He took everything off the contract. The dates were right there. The contact information was right there. Any questions that needed to be answered were right there. And I took the page out of that book because I think that, you know, for organization purposes and just, you know, being able, you know, the transaction goes sideways, you email everybody in that group. The transaction closes, you email everybody in that group, because thank you so much for all of your participation. You know, this one was great. appreciate you working together, whatnot. Like that is like my
Also
biggest
too,
thing. I love that.
it's, for that, like you said, that 30 or 45 days, it's about managing expectations on both sides of the transactions, right? Because there's a lot of emotion involved when you're purchasing a home. And so when the listing agent and the buyer's agent is on the same page and the lender's on the same page and the insurance is on the same page, we can all work together to manage expectations. I think it's super important.
And even with title companies now, I mean, the title companies have their own integrated systems, which is great for the information the title company needs. But when it comes to the personal aspect of it, I'm not going into their computer system. That's not going to do any of us any good. That's just for their knowledge and whatever. We need to communicate as a team. Whether, John's an LPT agent or Mike's not LPT, you get on the same page with those guys because, if there's a problem, let's solve it together. I've had clients where the buyer, the seller, me, the listing agent, me as the listing agent, like we've all gotten on a conference call. And just, letting, in a world where there's a lot of vacant properties or, the buyer and seller just don't see each other, don't communicate as much as, I've been doing this a really long time as they have in the past. Sometimes it's just that connection is what you need, that verbal, oh my gosh, I'm trying so hard, or this was my plan, but it fell through because of this. Can you please allow me the opportunity, but it's going to take me an extra 10 days. Sometimes you got to think outside of the box in this business to be able to get things where they need to be. And it's just human nature. As humans, we want to help other people. But I think sometimes with the computers and, I know a lot of even, lenders and stuff, they don't like picking up the phone for something that could be emailed. There is nothing worse than somebody saying, well, I sent that email 8 days ago.
Yeah, nobody saw it.
Damned if I saw it, and that's, you got to be the voice. And, where voices aren't always a prominent thing right now these days, you need to be the voice of your clients. And sometimes you need to be the voice that brings it all together.
Absolutely. No, this is all great advice. And just on top of everything, like it's all a trusting process too, whenever you're communicating as a group, which just, I feel like, makes the transaction process very smooth.
Communication builds trust.
Communication builds trust.
One of my favorite quotes is, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Yeah.
So just keeping them in the loop, especially like I said, when I was a buyer's agent, I worked with a lot of first-time home buyers, and that's extra stressful and emotional. Keeping them feeling good is only going to help you in your future business, because then they're going to refer, or when they go to buy or want to sell and buy their second home, they're going to think of you because oh my God, Mia was like the best, and we felt so positive. Like she said, there's so many agents out there where people finish the transaction what did I even pay them for? You never want one of your clients to be like, why did she get paid again? So so that's all ties into each other.
I actually have a question that ties into that, I guess.
Perfect.
What is the biggest misconception people have about real estate agents and their role in the buying and selling process?
Oh, I'll let one of you take that one.
Oh, can I? No. My kids had the biggest misconception. Mommy just put signs in the ground. That was one of my favorite ones of all times. And I honestly, if you're not servicing your clients, if you're not doing what you're not supposed to do, but if you're not servicing them to the level that I personally expect from my biggest personal transaction, they're going to think oh, she just put a sign in the ground, or oh, what'd she do? She gave us a couple numbers, or what? You don't want people to think like that, and that was the biggest one for me. You don't want to be that person, And we all have schedules. We all have lives outside of real estate. I know it's hard to comprehend this, but we really do, right? Yeah. So, I had the first house I purchased myself. I was 19. It was a HUD home. It was a foreclosure back in the day when they had keys. So, you had to go take a special class and you had to get a special key for this. Well, I hadn't taken the class and gotten the key yet. So, I had to call another agent, and he said to me one day, and I was, I'd been working for this realtor for a while now, the first company I started with, and literally climbed up to the second floor of this house and almost fell out the window. The house was leaning.
My goodness.
So this agent's like, hey, what do you think? And I came downstairs fearing for my life. Yeah. And I'm like, the house, it's leaning. And he just looked up at it and he's like, it's just a little tilt. And I just wanted to go wring his neck. Like, no, I almost fell out the second story window. Like, I was really, no, this was not a tilt. So, you know, to me, it was like, I'm never going to be that guy. Like, if a buyer or a seller comes to you and they've got an actual concern, don't sweep it under the rug. Don't tell them it's a little tilt. Listen to if it's a valid concern, follow through. Even if you think it's not valid, follow through, follow up. Make it, you know, this is obviously important enough to them that they brought it to your attention. So make it important enough for you to dig a little.
Yeah.
Build that.
One thing my previous mentor used to say was, don't be just a door opener. That's a misconception that real estate agents are just door openers.
They do the bare minimum.
And doing everything we've already talked about is what shows your clients that you are providing so much more value than just being the door opener.
Yeah,
like, hey,
just showing them
I've got people, you know, it takes a village, right? Everyone's heard that before. And I think the most important thing a new agent can do is creating that village, right? And having that village, easy access. So as soon as you get a new client or you get under contract, like, boom, here's all my village contacts. They're all I've used them. They're all local. They're all great. They've got positive response. Like, just, you know, don't be a door opener. I guess that's just one thing I like.
And if you don't know the answer, it's okay to tell people that you don't know the answer.
Yeah, you'll find out.
You know what? Let me go find this out for you, or let me ask somebody who's more of an expert at this.
John knows the answer.
John knows the answer.
I don't ever. One thing I would say is I don't ever like insinuate that I don't have access to the information. I just always let somebody know that I will find the answer for them. Like, I'm never going to say, oh, let me go talk to someone who's more experienced than me or something like that. I will say, let me go find the answer for you, or speak to somebody or put you in contact with somebody who can get you the answer. Because you never want to sound incompetent either,
but don't sweep it under the rug either.
But don't sweep it under the rug.
That's another big one with people. They'll ask the question and it's like, well, I asked my agent. So, you know, even like I've had people like with other realtors, with other brokerages, you know, I might have gone to high school with them or whatever, and they'll call me like 3 weeks into the transaction, like, hey, I need your opinion on this. I'm like, whoa, you know, I'd love to help you, but there's laws in place that, you know, kind of keep us protected and keep them protected and keep buyers and sellers protected. And you really need to talk to your agent about that. Well, my agents, you know, I asked the question and did you follow up? Like, you know, follow up with your agent or follow up with your agent's broker. You know, you just kind of get the answer, tell them where to go to get the answer, but, you know, keep your clients in your heart.
Absolutely.
What do you think some misconceptions are, Michael?
I would say probably that, like, agents don't do anything. They do the bare minimum and they get paid too much is what I've heard a lot. And I think that it's important, like we talked about, managing expectations and also having an established team that you work with that you can introduce your clients to is super important, and having a framework for how you convey your value to that buyer or seller before you even start looking for homes, before you even list their home,
paint the picture,
whatever it is what differentiates yourself from other agents. And like, to the point of, like, you know, you don't need an agent or whatever it is. Look at the statistics for sale by owners. I mean, the National Association of Realtors has statistics that if you sell your home for sale by owner, typically you're going to get less for your home than if you were to use a professional realtor. So I would say to combat that is to have a framework for how you approach working with your clients. Don't be just a door opener. Be a consultant. Right? Because when people look at you as a consultant, they see you as an authority figure and they'll want to do business with you. And I think that's what differentiates somebody who's just, you know, like a realtor opening a door from somebody who's a consultant that has an entire team around them to make sure that the experience goes very well.
Absolutely. No, I love this.
I would say a big misconception is, like Paolo said, and, you know, we've all touched on a little bit, is that, one, realtors are overpaid for what they do, which I think is a huge misconception. There's a huge breakdown behind the scenes after we get our commission checks that you guys don't even know about, but we're not going to get into
Even
that.
before, I don't think they realize how much we
It's the
put
good ones
into
that
it.
make it look easy. Right?
But
Bless you.
another misconception is all realtors are the same. There are so many different facets and niches to real estate. A lot of what we've been talking about today is mostly consumer focused, right? But you have development, you have investment, you have multifamily, you have commercial retail, you have, development of hospitals and schools and things like that. And all of these things fall into different sectors and niches. And there's going to be specialists in each of those sectors and niches. And it'll be, and that's another thing that I think a lot of consumers don't realize is, yes, any realtor could help you sell or buy a home, but we're not all the same, and we don't all specialize in the same things either. So
Same thing with their insurance agent.
how no diamond is cut the same, no realtor is the same. So I think a lot of the misconception is that we're money hungry, we're lazy, we're all the same, we're unethical, immoral. I think that's a majority of what I have interpreted and perceived from public comments. As far as negatives.
But you've never heard that from your clients because you set expectations, right?
Right. I think setting as far as differentiating yourself on a positive note, framework like Michael touched on is so important, not being just a door opener. A lot of what you can do if you're focused on working with consumers or investors is just building out, your introduction packet.
I was just thinking about a packet of
you
a
send,
packet.
you send them
choose Mia.
a three-page PDF, not some 12-page PDF. A three-page PDF. The front page has a photo of you or something, highlights who you are. The second page goes over your goals and processes.
Maybe a mission statement.
Working with them, and then the third page could be a checklist for them. Right? Keep it really simple. Keep it condensed. Keep it sweet. But when you give a client that, you're highlighting the value of what you're doing for them. And then they also have something to attach to that value, right? Because they're visually seeing, okay, she's not just sending me an email, she's not just sending me a text checklist, she's involved, she's engaged, and she cares.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing, that would be my biggest thing in differentiating.
LPT too, like our listing power tools, like there is no company that I've seen and or been a realtor for that has anything like that out there. And I think that's so huge for all of our sellers, and for us as agents. There's just, that is a godsend, and that is a gold mine right there, just to be able
Absolutely.
to offer that to our sellers. And wow. That was my first impression
Do
of
you
it
have
as well.
a side of the business you're looking at specializing in, listing or working with sellers or buyers or investors, or you haven't figured that part out yet?
Well, I did one open house and I was working with a potential buyer. Actually, maybe this might be a good topic to talk about
Sure.
with all of
I
you
think we have a
guys.
little time left.
So I was doing an open house and a buyer came in and they said that they weren't interested in the house that I was showing, but they wanted to work with me in finding something for them, whether it was
Perfect.
new construction, a vacant property, or something that they can renovate. And so I got his information. We had a phone call exchange where I was asking him, if he was doing cash or financing, like what his goals were and all of that stuff, his budget, things like that. And it was a good conversation. He seemed very well knowledgeable in the industry. So he was like, I just need help. And I was like, perfect. I will be more than happy to help you. So I sent him a couple of listings. And then I received an email saying that he unsubscribed from receiving emails from me. So then I went to my mentors and I was like, what do we do?
Yeah, what'd they say?
And they're like, let's get on a phone call with him.
Yes.
So we call him and there's no answer. Well, like it rung, but he didn't answer.
Yeah.
And we've been reaching out to him and still nothing. So I got ghosted by a buyer.
Yeah. Well, that'll happen.
It's common.
Yeah, and honestly, he may have been a wholesaler, but let's go around really quick and end our round table. Just drop our contact information really quick.
Yeah.
I've been on here a couple times, as you guys know. If you want to get in touch with me, I'm your Tampa Bay investment specialist. Go to livingsaltlife.com, hit on that investment tab. Mia, how can they get in touch with you?
I have an Instagram, Mia Panlilio, Panlilio, or I have a website called allthingsmia.net. Besides real estate, I also do interior design. So if you ever need help with investment properties or just your residential home, let me know and I can help you out.
Super cool.
Love it. Holly Dimemmo with LPT. My Washington number, because, in that transition is 253-358-6971. And I made it real simple with the email address. It's just lptholly@gmail.com.
Nice.
Perfect. Again, Paolo Matita, Sunrise Insurance Group. You can email me. It's Paolo, Paolo, at sunriseinsurancegroup.com, or I'm in the Carrollwood LPT hub every Wednesday, so you can find me there. I'm there, like I said, every Wednesday, usually from like 11 to 1.
Awesome. So my name is Michael Manos. You can reach me at 813-777-2805. And then you can chat me up about pretty much any asset class, vesting, retail, vacation rentals, land development. I know they say to specialize in things, but due to some good mentorship, I've been able to gain knowledge in pretty much every sector. So there's nothing I can't help with. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was great.
Good show, you guys.
Mia, I hope you
Thanks
learned
for being
some
here.
stuff.
I did. Honestly, you guys gave
Awesome.
amazing advice.